This is a VLOOKUP crash course. The V in VLOOKUP stands for vertical. It is a built-in Excel function which allows establishing relationship between different columns of Excel. In other words, it allows you to find a value from one column of data and returns its respective or corresponding value from another column. Let's get to it. Right, I'm just going to jump in with a practical scenario. Let's calculate the salaries for the following 5 employees. We've got their timesheets and the hours they've worked this month. We also have a sheet with their hourly rate as per their contract. For a basic VLOOKUP function, we'll say equals VLOOKUP, opening bracket. Our first parameters we need to enter is the value that we're looking for. This could be a text entry, a normal value entry, or you can refer to a cell. Let's do this. Let's say we're looking for AF1, putting it in inverted commas to specify that this is text. Where are we looking for this value? We're looking for this value in this array, this block here. This is our data set. That's our table array. An important thing to remember is when you select this data array, the most left column should be the column where this lookup value will be found. Okay, so in our case, column J is the most left column and AF1 is included in that column. So that's the correct selection that we've made there. Comma, our next parameter is column index number. Now it's asking what column do you want to return? If I find this lookup value of yours in the left column, which column must I return? This is usually a number, or it's always a number. That's what the VLOOKUP function expects, a number in this case. So we know our employee ID is column number 1, the name is column number 2, column number 3 is our hourly rate. We are looking for the hourly rate. So we're looking for column number 3. And our range lookup, let's just go with false, exact match. In this scenario, we'll cover the true approximate match a bit later on. Closing bracket, and there we've got our hourly rate. To do our salary calculation, we'll just say our hours times our hourly rate, and we've got our salary for employee ID AF1. But this is not great because we're searching for a text string. We'd like this to be dynamic so we can actually pull this formula down. So let's replace this first bit with this cell here. Now it's looking for the value in that cell in this data range in the most left column. Enter, and we still get 90. When we now try to pull this VLOOKUP function down to fill in the rest of the employees, we'll get errors at the bottom too. And this is because this table array that we selected in the first one, that red block you can see there, differs from the next one. Because as we pull it down, the table array also pulls down. The same as with the left, the lookup value. It moves with the value that you're pulling down. It's in relation to where the VLOOKUP function is. So we need to fix this range of cells, or where our data is stored. And a quick search on absolute referencing in Excel should give you the answer. But a shortcut is, if you click on the table array and you just press F4, now we've fixed that value, and press F4 there, we fixed this value as well. So that means column J, cell 1 is fixed up to column M, cell 6. This now won't move when we pull this down. So we've changed this formula now. When we pull it down now, everything should pull through. If we look at the range now, it's still the same as the first one that we've done. And this is correct. Now we can just pull down our salary, and we've calculated all the salaries. This is a basic VLOOKUP function. The first common error that I can think of is when the value that you're looking up is not the same as the value in your original data set. For instance, there's maybe a space, and then all of a sudden you've got this VLOOKUP error and you don't know why. And that's because if you inspect this value here, you'll see that there's a space in between the AF and the 1, and there's no space in your data set. This is something you have to pick up manually. But say for instance you realize that all of your values has got a space at the end. That's just the way it was pulled from your timesheets system. Now all of your VLOOKUPs won't work, and you won't know why, because it looks the same. A good thing to do and to make a habit of is just check the first one, just see by going through the value if there aren't any spaces in there. Now we do see that there's a space, but imagine we've got 400 of these. We can't remove the space one by one. I suppose you can do a find and replace for the space and just replace it with nothing. But the easier way is to use a function called trim. Let's trim this value, this AF1 value. Trim removes all spaces in the front and at the back of that value. Now it should work again. Another error that we need to look at is when your data set has got duplicates in it. For instance, let's say that we've got 2 entries for AF2, Mary, with a different hourly rate. This is something that you've updated recently. And let's just quickly change our range, because now we've got a bigger data set, so we want to extend it to M7 so it includes all our entries. Drag that down. You see, the problem is now if we look at AF2, we're still pulling through the 120. That's because VLOOKUP looks for the first hit that it finds. The first entry that it finds AF2 in the left column. That's the one where it'll return the corresponding column 3. So in this case, I would suggest go through your list, see if you have any duplicates, and if something like this happens, maybe rename the old entry by putting a suffix to it, maybe something like old. Now automatically this differs from what you're searching for, and it'll pull the correct one through, which is the only one that's meeting the criteria. So let's quickly recap the VLOOKUP. We need 5 things to do a VLOOKUP. First, we need the cell where we want to enter, where we want to show the information. In our case, that would have been cell C6. This is where we want to show the hourly rate. Second, that's our lookup value, the first parameter in our function, which is normally next to the cell that you want to reflect the answer of your function. So we're looking for cell A6. Our third thing is the table array. Where are we searching for this data? And remember, let's fix that data set. By pressing F4, you're absolutely referencing it, and it won't change as you drag it down. Our fourth thing is the column that we want to return. So we're searching for AF1 in our data set, and we want column 3 to be returned to where we're putting the function. And then the last one, it's usually false, because we want an exact match. The only time you'll use true is when your data set, in other words column J, is sorted in alphabetical order. Then that would be applicable. But for now, starting out with the VLOOKUP, stick to false. It should sort out most of your problems. Thank you for watching.